Hi fam, welcome to my channel. So today by the way, I'm still wearing the same clothes that I was wearing on the last video. Guys, I'm batch filming. It is a Sunday and I'm going back to work, in tomorrow. So I'm trying to create as much content so that I can be consistent. If you remember on the day that firstly, you look at me going straight to business. So let me first introduce myself to anyone who is new here. Firstly, this is Uchenifa Nxumalo. I am a content creator. I run my business and I create content on personal finances, lifestyle, as well as career growth. So if any of those things are things that interest you, please make sure that you join us by clicking that red subscribe button in the bottom. And also, guys, don't forget to smash that like button. Whenever you are watching my videos, please smash that like button because it does help for YouTube to push my videos for more people to see. And it is also your way of showing support to this channel. And also, if you can watch the ads, that would be nice as well. But obviously, if you can. But today, on the video, I was trying to give you a backstory now of where we are coming from and what are we trying to do today. So what happened was on the video where I went to give where the vlog that I posted where I was wearing my outfit of this top and the skirts, and I gave a talk and where I shared that vlog with you on that day. If you remember at the end, I did share with you guys that I want to start sharing with you case studies of real stories, not like true stories, real stories, as real as in like it is relatable. True is like it really happened. No, this one is just real stories because it is relatable, because these are things that we struggle with. I did share on that video that I do want to introduce such videos because I was inspired by one of the content creators, South African content creator, and also other international content creators, where they bring in people and they just dissect their finances and their state of their finances at that time and give possible suggestions there. And I like those videos. I like to watch those videos. However, for my take, I want to bring that in because I've been in this creating this type of content for a while. And I know that you guys do struggle with certain things. And I'm hoping that with this series that we're starting today, it is going to help you just be able to identify where you are from these stories and see how you can maneuver yours as well. So in this case studies, what we are going to do is first we're going to look at the case of this person in terms of just a summary of who they are and what they're dealing with, and then we're going to look at their budget, and then we're going to then start analyzing it in terms of what is the problem with their finances and how can they fix that problem so that they can improve their finances. Now, this is a disclaimer that I do want to put as we go through, as we start the series. These case studies are not true. I am not going to take my clients' stories and struggles and come and bring them here on my YouTube channel and give them to you as if it is my story to tell. It is not my story to tell. And also, I do not have concern to do that. But also, I wouldn't do that because a person, when they have a session with you, they have that in private and in confidence that you are not going to go around sharing their business. So what I want to do, what I did, because I'm a tech savvy girl that likes technology, I went to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT and I said, you know what? This is who I am. I create content on this, and these are the things that I help people with. And there are issues that people encounter when it comes to their personal finances. But I want you to give me few stories, few case studies that are relatable, typical case studies that are relatable on what people struggle with. In this, I want you to be able to give me just case studies that I can use to dissect and give direction on. And ChatGPT gave me exactly that. It gave me exactly what I needed. So I have a few case studies that I'm going to be sharing with you in this series. But as I said, these are not true stories. They are just real stories because these are things that many South Africans are dealing with. And so I'm hoping that as we go through these case studies, you'll be able to identify where you are, what you're struggling with, and what you can do to improve yours, right? So we're going to start with today's. We're going to kick it off with the issue of having a good job, earning a fairly good salary, not like exceptional, but just a good salary. But however, you are constantly broke. So the case study that we're going to look at today is Usipho. So Usipho makes 25,000 per month. This is after deductions, you guys. This is after your tax and your retirement annuity or your pensions and so forth. It is after that. This is his net income, right? So Usipho makes 25,000 as a net income that comes to his account, but he is still broke, you guys. And this is something that I feel like a lot of South African battle with. And by the way, I've got my tea here. When I was creating my first video, I made this tea and it is not done as we're doing this video still. So I'm going to still sip on my tea. So Usipho, it's just like many South Africans where a person works and earns a good salary, but for some reason they are still struggling with just being broke, feeling like they just don't have enough. And this is something that is a pandemic, you guys, because in some cases you find that someone is really, really earning a good amount. However, because they've never really set systems and set boundaries, you find that they continue to struggle. But let's look at the case of Usipho. How is it that he finds himself constantly struggling with an empty bank account and always broke? First, we're going to look at Usipho is 28 years old. And he earns 25,000 and he lives in Joburg, and he also supports his family. So his parents are old and so he supports his family, ne? And also he does have a child that he supports as well. We like men that take care of their kids. Even if you're no longer with that mama, doesn't mean that you neglect your kids. You still have to take care of your kids. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, so Usipho also has a child that he takes care of. So let's just read briefly here what ChatGPT gave us. So Sipho was the first on his family to graduate from a university. Ain't that a real story for majority of us? After years of struggle, he finally landed a solid job as a marketing specialist. On the surface, Sipho is doing well. He has a decent salary, owns an apartment, drives a second good-hand car, and dresses well. Like, on a surface, when you look at Sipho looks to be doing well. You know, he's able to go out, take his daughter out. He's able to also, have a good time with his friends. But every month Sipho is left without money. Now, I want us to look at why is he struggling with this? What could be the reason why he is always broke? Let's look at his budget. Let's look at the things that he spends on. So Sipho sends money home, 4,000 per month, and he sends this money to his parents. And here they said he sends the money to Mpumalanga, so we're gonna go with it. He sends his money to his parents who live in Mpumalanga, the rural areas, and these parents are old guys, so they can't work, so they do depend on him. So he sends money for groceries, medication because they're old, and also obviously when you put older parents on a medical aid, it does increase your monthly contribution. So sometimes we just opt not to do that because we're just looking at the fact that if you're already struggling and then you increase your monthly cost on your medical aid, it also takes you off budget. So Usipho obviously went for that route to say, I will not include you on the medical aid. However, if you do get sick, I will send money for you. So he does send money for groceries, medication, and household needs. He pays 2,000 for the child maintenance to his ex-partner. Ooh, ChatGPT, you are so feisty. Why? Okay, he sends 2,000 for his child maintenance. He also has a rent of 7,500 and also has a car installment of 4,000. And the insurance is 1,200 that he pays for the car, right? Now, from the offset, I can just see where Sipho would need to cut in order for his life to be better. So by the time he's paid for groceries, petrol, airtime, subscription, because you've got DSTV, maybe he also has Netflix and some weekend takeaways or going out with the gents and, having a good time. His bank account is left at zero, you guys. His bank account. So these other ones that are there that we mentioned, which is the car installment, rent, the maintenance, sending money home, and insurance. These are his fixed expenses. These are his essentials. And then everything else is like groceries, petrol, airtime, subscription, are things that are variable expenses. So we're going to work on the variable expenses a lot. But then also we are going to go back and look at that rent, ne? So let's now go and just look at what is it that Sipho is struggling with. So first, he's struggling with the fact of lifestyle pressure. So he feels that he has to maintain, because he has created this facade of someone that is doing well in life, that drives this nice second-hand Polo car, and he has this image that he has presented for himself. He stays in a very nice complex day where he pays 7,500, and he just stays alone, by the way. And he then feels the need to want to uphold that, never wants people to feel like he is struggling. So the lifestyle pressure that he's facing, that is his struggle. And that is something that many of us, we struggle with. Many people do struggle with this, where you have created this facade or this image in people's mind, and now it's hard for you to rewrite that or to downgrade from that. And I've been really uploading the people that I've been sharing on social media, TikTok, where they're saying they're moving back home, and they will take you through the journey where they're going back home, starting from scratch. I applaud you. We need to upload such things because it shows a level of maturity. It shows that you're willing to start from the bottom and build up again. It shows that you are also willing to accept when you are defeated, and willing to downgrade so that you can build up, and when you're building up, you're not stressed. So I do salute that. Another thing that he struggles with is black tax. Even though I don't like to give this thing black tax, guys, but he does struggle with the responsibility of taking care of his family. So that's another thing, and this is an obligation because obviously these parents are older. He needs to take care of them. They they took care of him up until he was older. Now it is time to just take care of them. It's not a matter of he has to, but it's a matter of it is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. Another one is lack of financial boundaries, you guys. Lack of financial boundaries for him and also for the family side, because sometimes you have to look at how much money are you getting paid, and then look at what is it that you can't afford, what you can afford. You can't just have a set amount of 2,500 each and every month that you're sending home, even when you know that you cannot afford it. At the same time, you can't be going out each and every weekend or twice a month, but then knowing very well that you can't afford. So he's lacking boundaries for himself to say that I cannot do 1, 2, and 3 because right now my finances are not in order, and also I cannot stretch far enough to help you with this much money because I'm struggling with 1, 2, and 3. So the boundaries are two ways. So he needs to learn to set boundaries. So now I want us to look at his budget and see what I would do if I was in his case. I remember when I was getting paid around 17,000 per month, that was after deductions, you guys. I found a way to make it work. Yes, it was still small, but I found a way to make it work. And what did I do? Firstly, I was not staying alone at a flat. Every time I was sharing. First time I was staying in a 1-bedroom flat, and what I did was I got an intern at my job who was staying in the open space. That open space, they were just giving me 1.5 for that space, but then at least I was paying, in the whole red flat was 3,800. Then when you minus the 1.5, for me the other money that I needed to pay for, I'm just taking my calculator, just gotta say 3,800 minus 1,500. So I was paying 2,300 per month that I was liable for rent. And that was because I was looking at my income. So looking at Sipho's rent, 7,500 is quite high. It's quite high for a person that earns 24,000. It is very high. So what I would do is I would rather find another tenant. So if it's a 2-bedroom, like in Centurion, Midrand, you can find actually a 2-bedroom flat of 7,500. A good, those new developments, 7,500, you will find that. A flat, you will definitely find that. So a 2-bedroom flat, I would get a 2-bedroom flat and then find someone to share that flat with. So that 7,500 then becomes divided by 2. It becomes 3,750. So already he is saving 3,750 that will come back to him. So that's the first thing that I would do. Always look at your rent, you guys. Whenever you feel like you are struggling, first start with your rent, especially if you are renting. If it's a bond, sometimes if you are staying maybe in a 3-bedroom house and maybe it's just you and your child, rent out the other room. I remember when I got in Pretoria, when I came here to start my internship, I was renting out a bedroom in a person's flat. This was a fairly older woman that had her 2 kids and a helper. And all of us, including me, were staying in that flat, and it was just a 2 bedroom flat. And I was paying 2,000 something for that flat. And I only had a small cabinet that I was allocated in the kitchen, a small cabinet. And what I could have easily done is to buy myself a fridge and a cabinet. But because I knew that I was just there for just 1 year for my internship, I wasn't willing to invest in things like cabinets and a fridge. So I also have a small space in the fridge, their fridge, to just put my things, and a small cabinet in the kitchen to just put my things. And I stayed there, guys, for a whole year. It was not nice, but I stayed there for the whole year. And for what I'm trying to say here is, if you also have a bond, let's say you're not renting as a bond, and you have a 2 bedroom and a 3 bedroom, or a 3 bedroom, and you can see that you're not a big family, find a way to rent out the other room. Especially if you are struggling. If you are struggling financially, find a way to rent the other room. If you are single, you should not be single. And even if you are not struggling, guys, you should not be single and just renting a whole 3 bedroom flat or a 2 bedroom flat by yourself. I feel like it's just not wise financially. It's just not wise. Mina, the only time that I started staying by myself is when I moved into this place, into my home that I'm now renting out. I now then decided that, okay, financially I'm in the right place for me to rent out this whole space by myself, the 2 bedroom by myself. But also now I had my daughter with me. I wanted her to have her own bedroom. But in many cases, if you're really struggling, you guys, you should not be staying in a 2 bedroom by yourself. Try to find a way to offset that by getting a roommate who will rent the other unit, the other bedroom. Ne? So that's the first thing that I would do. He needs to relook the issue of the rent. Find a way to rent out the other room. Car installment and insurance. Installment is 1,200. If it's a second-hand car, I would try to get other options. Like, check. And as even your same insurance, review your insurance, tell them that I've got a better deal out there, ask them to review it, and it can actually go down. And that's something that I actually want to do as well, like soon, because I like the insurance that I'm with. I honestly like it. I don't want to really change, but I do want to tell them that, I've been with you for over a year now. It's time for you to review my insurance, because, it is quite high. So that's something that he could do. Review, check for better options for insurance. Another one is the home. He needs to, here on the budget, he's sending home 4,000 on this budget. 4,000 is quite high for people that live in the rural areas, guys. It's very high. So he could say, okay, in a month, it must not be fixed. In a month, he looks at his budget and say, okay, this month I can afford 2.5. He sends 2.5. He sends 2.5 home. That will also help to just reduce his expenses per month. So there, instead of sending 4,000, send 2.5. In a month where you can't afford 2.5, send 2,000, but send what you can. Don't put yourself in a place where you are struggling just because you have committed to this amount of money. No, send what you can. Send what you can. The most important thing is that you are remembering your parents and you're taking care of them, but do not drown yourself in the process, you guys. Please don't do that. Groceries, his budget for groceries is 2,500. That's fairly okay, but it's very low. And I know that this is also not realistic looking at our income, our expenses now. So there's 2,500. Petrol 1,200. Okay, airtime and subscription 600. Entertainment and takeaways, it's 1,000. So what I want us to do is I'm going to take my book here, and we are going to redo Sipo's budget, so that we see that if he were to just downgrade on certain things, how much would he be paying, and how much money would he be left with to save? Because I really believe that he can change things around. How long is this video now? Okay, we need to get going. So the first thing is rent. We said if it's 7,500 divided by 2, then it becomes 3,740. Second one is insurance and car. insurance. So maybe he can find an insurance the way he pays 950. 950 from 1,300 is fairly reasonable, you guys. You can find an insurance of less than that, but 950 is what I'm just going to put it at. Then let's say then another thing is parents. He takes care of his parents. So here, instead of sending 2,000, 4,000 at home, send 2,000. 2,000. In cases where you can't afford it, send 1.5, right? And then for maintenance, groceries, I'm going to put 3,000 because it needs to be realistic, right? 2,500 is not enough for groceries, even if you are by yourself, okay? Petrol wakhe is 1,200. Let's just say 1,500. And then 700, then another one here has got airtime, subs, and maybe data. So together it is 600. And then another thing that he pays for is entertainment and takeaways. So for entertainment, I would say that he can have entertainment. Let's just say entertainment. He can have 1,000. Now let's see what this comes out to, right? 3,750 plus 950 plus 2,000. Okay, how, guys? It comes out to be 14,800. Then we say minus 25,000. How much is he left with? Minus 25,000. He's left with 10,000. Guys, do you see that how much money now he's left with, as opposed to him trying to do all of the things that he was doing? He's still able to go out. He's still able to take care of his family. He still has his own. Oh, the thing that I don't have here is the car. The car is 4,000. So 10,000 minus 4,000, that's 6,000. But still, he's left with 6,000 that now he can say 3,000 of that goes towards emergency fund. And then 1,500 of that goes towards his normal savings. Maybe let's say he wants to go on a holiday, and then maybe 1,500 of that goes towards something else that he can decide to do. But now there is a 3,000 that can go towards the emergency fund every month, 1,500 that he can allocate towards any savings, and 1,500 that he can allocate to anything that he chooses. Now this 1,500 can also become a buffer for him to keep for the rest of the month. So he can then give himself a weekly allowance of 500 rands from the day he gets paid. It's 500 rands each week, 500 rands each week, leading up to the next payday. He's sorted. He's able to save. He's able to invest. He's able, because he can say 3,000 for emergency fund, 1.5 invest. Each and every month he goes to Easy Equities or goes to Frank Group. He buys himself his shares. He contributes towards he buys himself his shares. And now he's thinking of the future and not just now. So the 2,500, it is possible to make it work. Highly possible to make it work. It's just a matter of finding places where you can cut, where you are spending unnecessarily, so that you can free up the money, so that you can free up as much money as possible. That way you can then give that money back to you by saving it and investing it. I'm going to close it right here, and I'm hoping that this really did highlight things for you that you can do. So here, the solutions that I do want to just highlight at the end is he needs to be realistic with his budget. Budget with a purpose. Decide that what is it that you want to work on, and budget with a purpose. Your budget must be aligned to the things that you want to achieve, right? You can't be spending 7,900, 7,500 on a rent when you know very well that it does not align with where you want to go. Find a way to cut on your rent so that you can allocate that money to things that align with you, right? Prioritize also saving. If it means you can save 1,000 or 500 per month, do that. But looking at his salary, when you find a way to cut, you might end up finding that you are able to save more than that. Also, boundaries, you guys. I spoke about boundaries at the beginning to say he's lacking boundaries for himself and the parent side. But now looking at what I just shared with you, that he can cut on way and way. Now he's able to still take care of his family. 2,000 is a decent money to send home, and also he's still able to go out. He's still able to go out, but it's just having strict boundaries with yourself, ne? And then cut back. Cutting back, guys, is very important in your budget. Sit down, look at your budget, cut where you are not, it is completely unnecessary, or where you know that it is possible. And in many cases, rent is one of the places that people can cut, as well as those insurances. Find a way to get a better and a cheaper, a reliable insurance, of course, and also review your budget as much as possible, you guys. So Istorica Sepo, just to close this, Istorica Sepo is not rare, it is real. And for many of us, when we first make it, we find ourselves creating this facade and this look for ourselves and this idea of who we are. And then we find ourselves drowning, where we inflate our lifestyle. And then we find ourselves struggling to maintain that lifestyle each and every month. But it is important to come back to self and figure out, where did you go wrong? Fix where you went wrong and try to cut back responsibly. And then when you get that money that you've cut back, allocate it to things where it can allow for that money to work for you and free you even more. If it means you start paying off certain debts and attacking certain debts, do that. If it means you start saving for emergency fund, you do that. But what is important is to understand that Sipo's story is not really rare. It's something that many of us will struggle with. But if you can just do what we've spoken about here, you might find that you'll free yourself to a lot of things. I'm hoping that this is also going to be very helpful with you, because I'm looking at this sounds a lot like the sessions that I would have with my clients, where we look at your budget and then we figure out where to cut and what to do to improve your state of finances. So I'm going to close it right here. I hope that you had a good time. I hope that this was enlightening and educational. I'll see you on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.